Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Seemingly Appropriate Podcast. I'm Val.
And I am Larry.
Hey Larry, how are you?
Well, I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, just all right?
Well, busy work day, sweaty,
Yeah.
hot outside, commute home, get here just in time to plug my mic in. But I choose that life. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not used to a commute anymore. My commute is usually from my kitchen or my couch to this room. So
Yeah, it is.
I'm
It is really if we're all in the day to day, but when you take a step back and think about how life is so different for nearly everyone, including me with a commute. I'm one of the big, it is so drastically, wildly different. It's amazing.
Yes, it's so crazy. Well, today we are on episode 4, which is really cool. And we are going to be talking about inside body dysmorphia. It's kind of a serious topic, but I feel like we are going to dive right in and talk about what it means, how you and I are a little bit related to this. And then hopefully, if you guys have any questions, you ask us. Even if you don't ask us on this episode, you can ask us in the comments later. We're live on Facebook right now, but if you hear this later on our podcast channel, then we'll answer those questions on another episode. Next week for episode 5, it's our big episode on what happened to rock music. So we are going to be talking about rock music. We've got a lot of really cool people that are going to be on the show, including my co-host from B98.7, Mike Parsons, who has been in the music business for a long time. He's been in radio for 30 years. So he's seen the rock music go up and down. We're also going to have comedian and music lover Guy Seidel, and Neil Middleton is going to be here as well. Of course, he's a musician, local musician here in Utah. So we're going to have a lot of different vibes and stuff going on. And Larry, you love rock music, so I'm going to be asking you some questions as well. Hopefully we won't get into too many fisticuffs, but
I'm unlikely to fight over music. We can leave that to the guests, but I do have a deep and abiding. I could probably start crying now, telling you how much I love rock music. So yeah, that's a juicy tidbit. I can't wait to get into that.
Oh, I'm excited to hear about that. So, but tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about body dysmorphia. So, we've talked about, our first episode was on depression, and we kind of jumped in to depression a little bit with our good friend Brian Higgins. And body dysmorphia is a disease that's based on a certain type of depression. So I figured we would kind of talk a little bit about that as well. I actually thought this topic would be good because lately I've had a lot of people ask me about my body dysmorphia problems, because a lot of people didn't know that I had body dysmorphia. And I go to the gym a lot, and which is a good thing and a bad thing. So we're going to get into that, but I want to say right off the bat, we are not experts. We are not doctors. We are not therapists. We're not here to tell you what you have or don't have, but we'll give you our side of the story, how we feel about it, how these things have influenced our lives. I also put up in our comments where to actually find a test. It's a link to a test where you can actually see if you might have body dysmorphia, so you know if you need to go ask for help. It's not something you can self-diagnose, but if you think you might have it, you can go answer these questions, and then it'll kind of tell you if you should probably go find help or not. I found out that one of my relatives, actually my brother, had body dysmorphia, and I had no idea what that was. And I didn't even think that I had it. But when I started going to therapy about 1.5 years ago, one of my therapists was writing down things that I would say to them to describe myself. And about, 6 weeks into our regular therapy, he said, "Has anybody ever told you that you might have body dysmorphia?" And I'm like, no, that's not a thing that I thought I would have. I actually, Larry, I thought that body dysmorphia was like something that people that had like anorexia had. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you are doing major big changes to your body.
I think that's a very common belief. Like, it's thought of as a really extreme thing, and
Right.
that's why we need to talk about it, because I think it's probably common.
Yeah, exactly. And so so what I want to do is I did get a couple of things so we can kind of see the signs or symptoms of body dysmorphia. This is kind of what my doctor went over with me, being extremely preoccupied with a perceived flaw in your appearance. And most of the time these flaws are things that only you see. Like I will bring up things all the time that I perceive as big flaws with myself, and my boyfriend's like, I have never noticed that about you ever. I don't understand why you even see that. And you constantly think about these flaws, quote unquote flaws that you have or you don't have. And so you think that you have some kind of defect or deformity or ugly part of you. Now, this is not the same as you being upset that you're overweight. That's not body dysmorphia. This is also not like you're unhappy that you broke your nose in high school football and now you have a little tweak in your nose and every once in a while it bothers you, unless you are constantly focusing on your broken nose to the point where you actually don't do things because of that, then you could possibly be getting into body dysmorphia disorder. So,
It was
like,
volleyball.
I'll give it was volleyball. Did you break your nose in volleyball, Larry?
And I reset it myself. So,
oh my gosh, how old were you?
I don't know, 17, 18, one of those things. But
you were like, you just thought you had all the strength in the world.
I just wanted to get back and play some more volleyball. But I don't worry about it all the time. But like, as you're describing this, I'm like, me, also me, broken nose. So carry on. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. This is definitely a back and forth. But of course, you know me, I can kind of get jibber jabbering. I thought I would do, getting ready for this episode, I thought I would do a little backtracking in my therapy. My therapist asked me right when he said, I want you to kind of do some of these things for me and then come back in a week and we'll find out. He's like, I want you to write down how many times you look at yourself in the mirror every single day. Like, I want you to keep track of that for at least one day. And then the next day, I want you to keep track of how many times you've changed your clothes because of the thing on your body that you think is ugly or deformed or a problem. And so I had all of these projects that I had to do every day. And so I thought I'd kind of redo these this week, because body dysmorphia isn't necessarily something that ever goes away. It's mental wellness is something that you have to work on all the time. If you have depression, it doesn't just magically go away one day. There is no shot for it. There's no cure. It's something that you're constantly working on. I am a lot better today than I was 2 years ago, than I was a year ago. But on Monday, I actually looked at myself in the mirror to check out a problem that I think I have 30 times. That takes a lot of time out of your day, 30 times. And also, most of my day, at least 5 hours of my day, is looking at myself on a camera, because now with the world that we're in, I am constantly on a video chat, so I can actually see myself and I get distracted by the things that I don't like, right? So that also takes away from my job. So a lot of people thought, and still think sometimes, because I do look at myself a lot, either on my phone camera or in a mirror, when there is one around, that I'm very conceited about my looks. And it's actually the exact opposite of that. So today I changed my clothes 4 times before I left the house to go have lunch with my boyfriend. because of a part of my body that I think that I have a really hard time with. So 4 times I was about a half an hour late to where we were going. And this is a part of my body that my boyfriend actually really, really likes. And it's my legs. And I've hated my legs my whole life, but it's past the point of hate to the point where I think that people are going to notice how disgusting my legs are when I go out, to the point where I have really never worn shorts as an adult and rarely wore them as a teenager.
Fascinating to me, Valerie, because we're pretty good friends. We've been friends for years now, and I never would have dreamed that was the reality for you. Let me throw out some of my realities. I think in high school, if I look back at pictures of me when I was 20, 25, 18, 17, I was like, whoa, hey, I was all right. Good for me. I never felt that, ever. I never felt I was all right. I think in high school, I had acne, like, teenagers do, like totally normal. And I felt pretty terrible about that. I'm not ever really confident with my smile, being very vulnerable today. I did feel pretty confident that I was athletic, had a good athletic build. I had, good muscle tone, and I ate healthy and drank water and did all those good things. And over my lifetime, those things have slipped, and I now feel gross and fat, which isn't necessarily body dysmorphia, right? But I definitely feel that way, and I don't feel like, well, no female could be interested in me. That's not possibly
Right.
true, and that does alter how I interact with people. It alters how I live my life every day. So I think most people think body dysmorphia is all about women. And I do not even say that I know what that's like to be a woman, or that I know what it's like to have body dysmorphia. I don't know. But I'm confident, absolutely confident, that some of the things that you're talking about, confidence and day-to-day life and living normally, are damaged by how I perceive myself. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And so I would think even people who just, confidence is a big part of like life. Like, it's how it really matters a lot in day-to-day life. So whatever degree I might have, or whatever degree I might fit in this, it's definitely a mental health issue that I really need to look in the mirror and face and tackle. So we're
yeah, we are. And I think it's more common than people think. And again, the first time I ever really heard about body dysmorphia was from my younger brother. And if you know who my younger brother is, he's a bodybuilder. He's 6'4" and like totally ripped, and he works out 2 times a day. But this is the thing, back in high school, he was that tall and really, really, really thin. And I didn't notice it at the time until he told me. And I went back and looked at some of our family photos, and he did look very, very sick because he grew so quickly and had like no fat on his body. And I did not know, as his sister, that bothered him to the point that he really didn't like himself. And again, I never thought I was in this category. I've always been a very confident person when it comes to being up in front of people, the jobs that I have. And it didn't really hit me, I think, until it'll be 2 years ago, on August 25th, that I call my second birthday, that I almost committed suicide. And after that day, the very next day, I just said, like, I am not going to be this depressed anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to be this depressed anymore. Now, you can't just do that.
Right,
like, you have to do things about that. You have to make steps. It is about you and how much you fight to live. But sometimes you don't have control over what your mind decides that you're going to do. And so I did a bunch of things. And one thing that I did for myself was I decided to take control over something in my life, and that was to go to the gym. I didn't like how much weight that I had gained over the last couple of years. And so I started going to the gym every single day, which actually going to the gym, and I'll bring this up, working out, doing, activities, exercise can actually manage your symptoms of depression, stress, and anxiety. But saying that, excessive exercise actually worsens your perception of the flaws. So there's this happy medium. I basically went to the gym as a form of therapy, but also as to take control over myself. And I lost 40 pounds in about 8 months. I ate right. I went to the gym. I was also on the divorce diet, which really helps. Like, I don't recommend it to people in order to lose weight, but it really helped me because you're kind of upset a lot. And so you don't think about other things, and those endorphins are running through your body. And so now that I'm a little happier, and COVID happened, I've actually put some weight back on, but I had realized how fit my body could get. So that kind of clicked my body dysmorphia back in, because now I'm constantly comparing myself in a very self-manipulative way. So instead of saying, hey, I can do this, I can get back to being healthy and fit, I can be very toxic to myself. Some other symptoms that if you have body dysmorphia is when you're constantly comparing your body to other bodies. Like, I pretty much have a picture on my phone, maybe 2 pictures for every body part that I want my body to look like. That's not a healthy thing to do.
Wow.
It's good to have goals set. Like, this body is close to where I would like my body to be, but your body is never going to be like someone else's body. Your body is your body.
Yeah.
But like, I can have moments where I am totally obsessed and I jump down the rabbit hole of searching for women's bodies that I want my body to look like. And then you sit there and look at yourself and you don't look like that. And you're just going down a deeper and deeper hole. So I have to check myself for that. And I wanted to say, Christopher said, thank you for discussing this so honestly. Thank you, Christopher, for listening and watching.
Also, nice mask, Christopher. Let me relate a little bit of that too, yeah. Val. We've been friends, 6 years now, maybe? Something like that. So I feel like this is in my brain. I just was so active when I was in high school and in my 20s as well. Like always playing something, always either weightlifting or sports, played a ton of basketball, ran up and down the court, just for fun, really, right? And a result of that is that I was in pretty good shape. And I think people would be like, he's in pretty good shape. And maybe even girls thought that, which was nice. So I feel like there's like a division in my life where in my brain, I don't know how it is for the outside world, but in my brain, people who have known me, say in the last 15 years, in my brain, they know Fat Larry. They don't know Fit Larry. And those are, to me, seem like completely different people. And and I feel like the current me, which is a bad way to go through life every day, the current me is not the real me. It's the fat me and the fake me. The real me looks like that other guy who, maybe had some abs and definitely had better muscle structure and was really active. I ran a marathon one time. And I think, honestly, that was like the dividing point. It's downhill from there. And people who know me now, which is most of my friends, by the way, for lots of complicated reasons. I guess that's what this show's about. Partly for divorce, partly for lots of things. There was sort of a turnover of almost everyone in my whole life. And a lot of my old friends are kind of gone. Divorce played a part in that. It's hard. It's uncomfortable and hard for people to hang out with the guy who got divorced. So I feel like all the people virtually who know me now, including you, don't know the actual me. They know the more depressed and less fit version of me, and that's a bad feeling. I mean, that's how I honestly feel, and it's really probably burdensome to my mental health for sure.
Yeah, it's really horrible to feel like you are living inside of someone else's body.
Yeah, like
and yeah. So I have a question for you. When you dream, Larry, do you look like the self that you think you are in your dreams, or do you look like you do right now?
I don't know. Like, I can't say definitively that I know the answer to that. One, I don't get enough sleep, which is terrible, and I don't think I dream enough. So,
okay,
but I can't clearly say, oh, I'm that guy. But I think I feel like it's the previous version of me. It's not the current version of me. I feel like I dream the healthy me and then not healthy me. Why do you ask, Val?
And that's pretty well, because that is we're kind of going in and out, so I had to fix our internet feed for a second.
Okay.
But okay, so I ask you because that's actually pretty normal. I've always, when I dream about myself, I'm my 28-year-old self. I'm very active. I have long hair. I didn't have any acne when I was in high school. I got acne as an adult after I had a baby. And after I had 6 miscarriages. So, like, my body has just gone a little bit crazy. So now I have rosacea and acne scars because of rosacea. But when I dream about myself, I do not look like I do right now. And I think that's pretty normal for most people. And so that also puts into our psyche that we think of ourselves in a different way that people don't see us. So then we start thinking about, well, do people really see us the way that we want them to see us? And then you get into social media aspects like Snapchat and Instagram, where you can actually change the way you look in pictures, which actually there are studies that I have looked into, and I've talked to my doctor about it. There are times when that can actually help you with your body dysmorphia, and there are times where that can actually hurt you. It depends on how severe it is. But I have to say, Larry, some of those things are very, very normal for people. Is that you have gotten older and your body and your lifestyle have changed, but you still see yourself as you did when you were a kid. So I'm sure like everybody listening is like, yes, like that's totally me right now. So the thing is that you have a few options when it comes to this. And this is like the realistic of what my therapists have told me. You can either really try and be happy with the person you are and the body that you are in, which is very, very difficult.
Yeah. Let me interrupt. Like, does that even seem real? Does that seem realistic to you? Like, does that seem like okay, here's an option?
I have met people that have been able to do that. And when they're very mindful, like the mindfulness and the meditation with the people that I know that can do this, and they don't care about what people think about them, and they don't they've gotten to a place of Zen that I don't think I will ever be able to get to. And that's not me being negative. This is a situation where you have to be really real about what you're capable of. And let's see what Jerry says here before I go on further. Hey, Val, when you dream in your 26 self, do you have your tattoo, same hairstyle? No, my 28-year-old self that I dream of has long, curly brown hair, and I don't have any tattoos. Sometimes I do dream of myself having tattoos, like last year I did. I did dream of myself with blonde hair last year as well, because I had blonde hair, but my body was still the body that I was, and my face was still the face that I was when I was 28. So there, of course, are different instances. And I still am 28 when I have those dreams where you're back in high school and you can't remember your locker combination and you forgot to wear pants to school. I'm still my
Yeah.
20. So I'm way too old to be in high school, but I'm there for some stupid ass reason. And I can't remember my locker or my class schedule. And I didn't wear pants. So yeah, I'm still my 28-year-old self. But the other option that you have, and of course, this is not just black and white, there's more than these, but I'm going over kind of the big ones that I've had to go through myself, is that you change those things about yourself in a safe and realistic way to the point where you are okay with those things. And if you can't change those things, you change something else that makes you okay with it at the time. Hence, the fact that my hair a year and a half ago was here and now it's all the way up to here. People thought, oh, she got a divorce. She going crazy. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's getting tattoos. Like she's rebelling because she got a divorce and she's 40 and she's losing weight and she's just like going crazy. No, people. It's because I had no control in my life about what I thought about myself. And the things that I could change that were realistic and safe for me were my hair and tattoos on my body. Tattoos on my body actually make me feel like I have an armor over myself and I have control over what you're looking at compared to what you're not looking at. So I'm pulling your eyes here instead of at all the places on my face and my teeth and my legs and like things that I do not like about myself. And my hair is something that I can control by myself any time of the day, and it will grow back. I know my hair has always been consistently there my whole life. So I know that if I cut it or bleach it or color it, I can feel that momentary adrenaline, sometimes that will last for a week or a month, and it will make me feel okay and actually brings my eyes to here instead of to all the other places that I hate.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's not because I was going crazy because I was getting a divorce and losing weight. It's because I'm trying to deal with my mental health issues.
Well, the thing about hair is it grows right back. Like, you know, I could shave my head tomorrow, and I think hair is a really great and safe way to make changes, right? You can do all kinds of fun things. That's a really good one. My goal, you know, I'm never going to be that 25-year-old or 28-year-old, which is actually okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that I'm gray right here, and my hairline is receding, and I can live with that too. But it's not being healthy that really feels heavy to me. Just knowing that that I don't take good care of myself, but also some of those other things, like really feeling like I'm gross to people, like that I meet someone and they must think, oh, he's gross, he has a gut or whatnot. So I've gone over the list while we've been chatting, and I might be a candidate for this, which I just really feel like people don't think men can be, but men probably are and never talk about it. You know, never.
Yeah, I mean, therapy and mental health is still such a taboo topic, and more with men than anyone. And so, especially in a state that we live in, when you are supposed to be the person in the house that's the strongest, do you know what I mean? And you're supposed to be the person that takes care of everyone else. And moms feel that too. I definitely felt that way as a mom, but I think it's really hard for men to say, I'm going to go get help from someone else. And, you know, so just general mental health for men is a problem, but it's also, you know, in Utah for men, suicide is the leading cause of death. And just under that is heart problems. So like heart attack. So above heart attacks for men is suicide, because again, men for some reason don't feel like they have the right to take care of their own mental health. And hopefully that's going to be changing.
Well, let me soapbox for one moment. Let me sidebar on that very topic. I've had some therapy and I've read a lot of books and I've had a lot of friends who go through things. And what I really feel like we do. So if you're a parent, I'm speaking to you directly, not you, Val, but all the
all of us.
Me too. Me too. But I went through this. I think I had a pretty not quite typical childhood. I think my parents did a good job. But we literally tell little boys, we literally tell them this, that they shouldn't feel, but instead they should be tough. And that's a whole value of what it means to be masculine. And then if they're physically hurt, they should literally rub some dirt on that and ignore it. So it isn't a surprise to me that men grow up then to not face or talk about or acknowledge how they feel ever, and don't go to therapy and don't get help. And in fact, don't relate to women who, by the way, are taught they should pay attention to how they feel in kind of an unhealthy extreme the other way. So it's not surprising to me that men have these mental health problems. And then one of the ways that we deal with that, you went on the divorce diet. I went on the divorce binge spree of eating. So we literally die because our hearts suck because we eat crappy food and we don't take care of our bodies. I mean, so parents have got to do better, man. It's okay for your kid to cry, even if he's a boy. It's okay for him to feel bad, even if he's a boy. It's okay for him to need a hug, even if he's a boy. So, I mean, we really do, as a society, not you and I, but as a society, we set up men to fail in life later when it comes to their emotions. We lay the groundwork perfectly for men to suck. And men do suck in a lot of instances, and that's maybe part of why.
Well, and women are set up to allow you to suck and still love you. We're told that if you treat us poorly and you tease us as kids, that you must like us. And so then we grow up thinking that men that are horrible to us actually love and care about us. And we get into toxic relationships. We're also told you can have those emotions, but sit there and look pretty. So then we think, well, what happens when we stop looking pretty? Are we good for anything else? Am working through some things in high school that, I was on the multimedia group in high school. I was on the debate team. I did all of these things that all the boys did. But because I was a pretty girl, and this isn't me pouting about being pretty in high school, but I did all the writing and producing for the television network at our school, but I was never allowed to go compete in any of those things. But I had to go cover those competitions that boys that had lesser talent than me would go and fail at, because I'm just supposed to look pretty on the news screen and not really share that I have a voice. I didn't realize how sexist it was at a time, because I never used to really pay attention to that until I got a little bit older, but it didn't stop me from doing anything. I said, oh yeah, I'm going to apply for USC film school. And I left 4 days after graduation for that. And my teacher's like, you got in? And I'm like, yeah, you misread me. You mistreated me. I'm going to go be successful somewhere else. I'll see you later. Like, bye. But yeah, it's really, it's the society that's put out before us. And it doesn't mean that we're trying to bring our kids up to be quote unquote sissies, which I hate that word. But I think it's okay for girls to cry and be strong at the same time. I think it's okay for boys to cry and be strong at the same time. And I think it's perfectly okay for a dad to help a daughter through a situation and a mom to help a son through a situation. I think things have come a long way since we were kids, and they've come like drastically a long way since our parents were kids, for sure.
Oh yes. Yeah. And I'll even one sentence to agree with you. Yeah. I think it takes a lot of great strength, actually, a lot of strength to be willing to cry and show emotion. And I mean, that's strength to me.
I am not strong enough to do that. I get really upset when I cry in front of people. Like, it makes me very angry because, I was just taught that you don't cry in front of people, that it shows weakness. to the point where almost all of my therapy sessions, I end up crying and I get angry about it. And then my therapist is like, have you cried in front of your dad lately? Have you cried in front of your boyfriend? Have you? And I still, even though I know it's okay, it's this memory muscle inside of me that just tenses up the minute it starts to happen. Although over the last 2 years, I have no control over the crying, Larry. Like I cry for everything. I watched Endgame again today and I just bawled through the last part of Endgame. Sometimes I watch commercials and I cry. Sometimes I just cry all the time. It's ridiculous. I think it's because I held it in for so long that my body's like, nope.
Well,
it's time.
We're learning how to be healthier about our attitudes. So you give that a little crack, and all those lifelong emotions do burst on through. So let's pretend that one or both of us have some body dysmorphia, or somebody who listening does. What's the first step to sort of fix this?
So again, I put the link on this post feed that you can go and take this little quiz if you think that you might have body dysmorphia. What I don't recommend doing is going down the internet rabbit hole of body dysmorphia, because this is what can happen to a depressed person. And I'm telling you firsthand, is that when you see the very, very extreme body dysmorphia cases, you start thinking you might have that extreme of body dysmorphia. It's like looking up something and then you find out that it could be cancer, and then you think to yourself all day long, do I have cancer? You know, when you don't have cancer, you just have a headache or something. So what I would do is take this little test, and then if you really still are not sure, you just need to call someone. There are free places that you can call and talk to a mediator, talk to a therapist, talk to a doctor on the phone, and I'll make sure that I put those links up over on our post when this episode is over, because your friend cannot tell you if you have it. I cannot tell you if you have it. The internet cannot tell you if you have it. You might actually just be really depressed, and going out and going on a hike every day or week, or walking around the block and stop eating sugar might actually help you, and you may not have body dysmorphia. So I wouldn't jump down that hole of that just yet. I would definitely talk to a professional. I have to tell you, Larry, that getting the right amount of sleep, not eating sugar, and going to the gym helps my depression more than any medication I have ever taken. Now, I'm not saying stop taking your medication if you're on it. This is just for me. This is what works for me. But when I do have my sugar binges and I gain weight, it's worse because of the chemicals that are in your body, not just because I feel fat and disgusting, but the chemicals in your body that it creates when you're overweight does not help your depression. And it is a choice. And it's a very hard choice to make, because I really love food and I really love to eat. So again, you have to get real with yourself on what you're willing to do to fight for your happiness. And your happiness means that you wake up every day and you're pretty okay with yourself. It doesn't mean you're like this every day and you're just like this go-getter person. You're going to have days like that, but waking up and being like, you know what? I'm okay today. And that's a good place to be. There are some very severe cases of body dysmorphia of people that go and change their body so much with plastic surgery that they no longer look like themselves. They cause detriment to their health. And some people have actually died from doing it. But I'm not saying that changing your body is not an okay thing to do. I've never said this out loud in front of people that are not my family or immediate friends. But I have a boob job. I have breast augmentation that I got about, I want to say three years ago. And one of the biggest questions that they ask you before you go in and you get cosmetic surgery is if you have any mental health issues, because they don't want you to be only getting your augmentation or changing your body because you think that is going to make you feel better. I got mine for many different reasons that I think is for, I might talk about later. But, I'm not saying that that's the last thing I'm going to do to my body to help me get to where I'm okay. But what I recommend is if you're thinking about doing those things, one, talk to your therapist about it. And then talk to your significant other or best friend about why, because you need to say out loud why you want to do those things to your body. Why you want to change your body. Like, say it out loud to someone that will actually give you feedback back to you before you actually do it. Make a consultation, talk to that actual expert about what you're going to change and what it affects. But don't just jump into changing your body that drastically without talking to a couple of professionals if you have depression.
It's good advice, Valerie. And I know I appreciate, and I think people will appreciate how nakedly honest we are and how vulnerable we are on the show. I think that's really important, actually. I mean, that's the point of the whole podcast, is to talk about things people don't talk about. So thank you for doing that. It's good work. I have not had a breast implant. But there's lots of good advice. I'll say no more. That's your area. I will say this, actually, after I just said I wouldn't. I've been close to a number of women in my life. My mom, you, lots of friends, and that is somehow we're doing a really bad job in society of talking to women about their bodies, men too. But I think I've just hardly known anyone that's entirely, at least not contemplated, surgery. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I'm saying it's the reality. And we live in amazing modern times when we can do things and do them pretty safely. So that's kind of cool. But
I used to be a huge dick about people that got plastic surgery or that modified their bodies. Like when I was, I would say 10 years ago, even, like I was a huge dick about it. Like I have family members and friends that have implants and have modified their bodies. And I just always said, you know what, that's not me. I'm never going to do that. I tried to tell myself and lie to myself that I was perfectly okay with who I was and getting older and that kind of stuff. And I think also because society kind of puts a label on people that want to modify their body, like they automatically get put into some category that they're superficial or that they're a certain type of person if they're going to get breast augmentation, right? And I'll just say it. My mom died from breast cancer. My dad's mom died from breast cancer. I had a breast cancer scare, and I thought that if my test came back even 50% that I had a chance of getting breast cancer, I was going to have my breasts removed. So I said, before I get them removed, I would just like to have boobs once in my life, because before I had my breast augmentation, they weren't very big, but I have very curvy hips and a very round bottom, and I like my curves. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and match the curves up here to the curves down there and have fun for a little while before I might have to remove that. Plus, I've always just really, really liked boobs. I think they're fantastic, and I wanted some for myself. Mistakenly also at the time, I knew there was something wrong with my marriage, and I thought maybe that would help. It absolutely did not help. Just like getting pregnant does not help a marriage that's going downhill, neither does augmenting your body. So always do it for yourself. Never do it for someone else. And I'm very happy. I just had a mammogram last week, and I find out if everything's good in a couple of days. So yeah, I mean, there are, yes, superficial reasons why I got them. But there was also a big medical reason why I got them as well. So, but I'm happy I got them. I do not go around telling people that I have them. So now at least 5 people know that are not related to me or immediate, like my closest friends. But I might do other things to my body, including getting tattoos to hide some things on my body that I don't like, because that's what we can do now. If I can't get over parts of my legs that I don't like, do you know what I can do? I can put permanent makeup on that part of my body that makes me super happy when I look at it.
Cool. We are
Yeah.
probably 50 years away from being able to genetically alter our bodies and be like, you know what, I'd like zebra stripes on my skin, and so I'm going to have cheetah spots. Like that sounds ridiculous, but it's not that distant.
Right.
And just, you know, it's interesting you brought up breast cancer. My mom eventually was lost to cancer. That's what she died from, and she had a mastectomy, and I believe on just one side. And you know, she was older, but it's still, we all of us are so tied into our identity as our body in so many ways, which is not unhealthy, right? But it really was hard for her. And, you know, she was in her 70s, but it really was hard. She felt like less of a woman. And I guess we were close enough. She talked to me about that. And it wasn't because my father rejected her at all. It just was,
No.
it was just hard. And I have a very dear friend. I think when I met you, Val, I had a shaved head.
Yes, you did. Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
was partly because I just shaved my head, but it was also partly because a dear friend of mine, like not someone I've ever dated or anything, but just someone I really, really like. She had breast cancer in her family, and had people that died. Like, it was genetically a problem, and she breast cancer is detected, and so, you know, her odds were not great. She had, in fact, one of the worst kinds of cancer that you can have. Super rare, and we thought that might be it for her. She's young. She was in her 20s or 30s, and it was awful. So she just immediate was like double mastectomy. She's just done. And she never had reconstructive surgery at all. And she felt and feels today, she's good outcome. She's healthy and fine. She feels fine about that. And if I remember right, she got a big tattoo of like a phoenix on her chest. Really cool. Mm-hmm. And she could be like, hey, here's my chest. She could go topless or whatever. She's one of my favorite people. So I shaved my head when she was going through chemo. That was part of the thing, because I was just like, it was hard. But and she's been fine, in contrast to my 70-something-year-old mother, who was like, I don't even know who I am. It's amazing how our bodies are us. I'm not smart enough to know all the ins and outs, but it's really fascinating and interesting and important. And we, you know, got to do what we can do.
It's very different for everyone, you know, what their insecurities are about themselves. It's never going to be the same from one person to another. And I saw this really great post the other day, and I wanted to note it because I knew I would talk about it on the show today, because a lot of people really still think that tattoos are just awful on people, and they judge people that have tattoos on their body. Whereas I got mine to help me through some very, very hard times. And they have. It's very therapeutic, my tattoos. And I saw a woman in her story on Facebook, and I went through and read it. And she has burns and skin kind of dysplasia all over her chest that she had no control over. She had it since she was younger, and she hated it about herself, right? So she got a tattoo that goes from here up to here and down her arms. It's a very, like, that's a big thing to do. So people will look at her and they'll judge her right away for, I can't believe, you know, somebody would get that tattoo, blah, blah, blah. She got it because she had burns and scars all over her body, and she wanted to look at something beautiful every day instead of that part of herself. And so when you judge somebody for getting Botox or for getting a tattoo or for getting breast implants or for changing their hair, and you think they want attention, maybe they want less attention. Maybe they don't want you to pay attention to something that they hate about themselves, and maybe they're just trying to get through the day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Tattoos are, yeah, anyway, agreed. Yeah, agreed. The only person who understands their tattoo is the person who got it. And, we're, I think, wise enough, society-wise, to, it's not the taboo it was. I hope it's not. And hopefully it's improving.
I don't know, Larry. When I posted that I was getting my tattoos, I had a lot of judgment. And I still, when I go to do certain things for my job, because we live here in Utah, I have to cover them up because, certain people will not listen to the show because I
Sure.
have a tattoo on my arm. And I actually had guys before I had my boyfriend that were like, yuck, you're getting tattoos. That's disgusting. Why would you do that to your body? Well, one, because it's my body. Um, and because I want to, and also because I don't want to die. Like that's literally how scary it is every day. And this is just for me, I don't know for everyone, but once you've tried to commit suicide and you've decided not to go through with it, that doesn't mean that thought never crosses your mind again.
Right.
It's a constant battle, and we kind of talked about this with Brian. It's constantly working on yourself every day, saying, you know what, I did really good for an hour. I did really good for 5 hours. I did really good for a day. Now I can say I did really good for this entire week. And when I'm not doing well and I need to do something for myself, my choice is not to pop pills or to drink alcohol, and I'm not putting down people that do. I've stopped doing that because it's not good for myself, but I will change my hair or watch a movie or schedule a tattoo if I can. Like, those are the things that I know that I can do that immediately make me feel better.
Perfect. My issue is that I can't afford tattoos, and I never take the time. Someday, if there's any tattoo artists out there, maybe we should have a consultation.
Hello, my boyfriend. Hello.
But I don't know him personally. Anyway, maybe that's an episode someday.
Actually, we are going to have an episode about tattoos with him. It's
Cool.
on the schedule for next month about taboo tattoo is what we're going to call it, because he has been tattooing for a very long time all over the United States, and he is tattooed from head to toe. And there is a lot of taboo that goes with that. So we're gonna talk about that in September. So, but body dysmorphia is definitely something that a lot of people don't know about. They put it in a category of, it can be very dramatic. It can be a very horrible thing to deal with. And it can also be, something that's not as dramatic as someone else. It's just like depression. Some people have small amount of depression and some people have clinical, like, you've got to monitor everyday depression. So don't count yourself out if you feel like this is something that you need to check in on, but also don't freak yourself out if you're just really, really angry that you keep eating fast food and you hate your body. Like, these are decisions, and we have to get real with ourselves, Larry. Like, this is not being mean to people. This is me getting real. Me, realistically, living in the body that I was living in last year, which I was a size 6, I was 20 pounds lighter than I am right now. I was sleeping well, physically happy, mentally happy with pretty much everything that I saw. I have to not eat a lot of things that I love eating to fit in that body. Is that realistic for another part of my happiness? Like, these are the things that you have to think about in your life every day. If you want to have the body that you see in the magazine, realistically, you have to give up a lot of stuff to get that. And will that actually make you happy? Or do you just think it's going to make you happy?
Really good questions. And of course, it's hard work. This is really hard work to do
either
that.
way.
Do you have time in your life for that hard work? Because, do I have time for 90 minutes a day at the gym? Well, sure. If I don't want to work on the movie scripts I'm writing, or if I don't want to, spend time with my kids, or if I don't want to read, or if I don't want to, gosh, I sometimes play video games too. If I cut out video games and only went to the gym, I'm sure that would work. But yeah, it's a balance thing for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely what works for you, because I do spend 90 minutes at the gym almost every day, but that's my choice. So,
yeah. So, people do have it. It's also hard. I mean, it's honestly, when you're depressed too, making those choices is harder.
Very hard.
When you're balanced. And those first steps are really hard. Those building those, habits in your head are really good. I what it really is about health, right? I mean, that's really what it is. Do I feel good? Do I have energy? Am I, living up? How's my life? That's really what the check is. But fantastic topic, Valerie.
Thank you. And thanks for being so honest and open tonight. And I mean, we could talk about this again. Mental health issues, we can talk about for hours and hours, and I'm sure we will be back with it. But thank you guys so much for watching us live on Facebook and YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, please do that. If you're not following us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, please do that as well. Seemingly Appropriate Podcast in all of those places. We will be back next week with episode 5, and we're going to be talking about what the heck happened to rock music. And Larry's going to get super passionate about this one. Not that you haven't been passionate every week, but I know how much you love your rock music, and we have a bunch of guests who love their rock music. We're going to try and make it so everyone can talk and hopefully not over each other, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be quizzing you guys a little bit on what each of you thinks actually is rock music, and we're going to get into some kind of contesting things from what the award shows thinks is rock music to what actual people think is rock music, because sometimes those don't always mix. They clash sometimes.
I definitely have a bone to pick with that.
Well, we're going to let you pick it next week.
Very good.
Thank you, Larry, so much. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we will catch you guys next week with Seemingly Appropriate Podcast.
Bye-bye.